Hello, welcome to the stream. It is going to be a low energy stream today because I decided to move my workout time to before stream, which may be a mistake because I'm now tired. But we're here to play a low energy game today with one of the Cthulhu Alone Against modules, which I've not looked at this one at all, but I'm sure it'll be the same sort of choose your own adventure thing as all the rest. So this is Alone Against the Tide, which I'm assuming features deep ones. Now, just before we get into it, as I was setting this up, I found that my PDF reader, a little odd, couldn't read the character sheets. I got this message here. There was also a pop-up about some unsupported PDF features, which is a bit weird. I normally use Sumatra PDF as my PDF reader for streams because it's pretty fast, even with PDFs that have lots of embedded images like the Traveller rulebooks, but it can't cope with this, I guess, so I had to switch out to a different PDF reader just to get the character sheets. A little bit odd. None of the other Alone Against modules are like this, and they just seem to be standard form for little PDFs, but there you have it. But we've got them copied over now, and we can get playing. So, let's see what is going on here. Alone Against the Tide is a solo adventure for Call of Cthulhu. Yep. You're both the keeper and the main character. Okay, so we can be either Dr. Ellery Woods or Dr. Eleanor Woods. I assume they have pretty identical stats. Let's have a quick look. Yes, it does look like they have identical starting stats. Yeah. What sort of character profiles have we got? So, the male character, Ellery Woods, a white man with heavily tanned skin, dark hair, brown eyes, and a short, neatly trimmed beard, wears a newsboy's cap, which looks slightly at odds with his smartly tailored three-piece suit. The female character, a white woman with heavily tanned skin, dark hair and brown eyes, wears a smart skirt suit with a lace collar blouse and a straw tam o' shanter hat, which looks at odds with her otherwise smart clothing. Okay, so it is just the same character, just gender swapped. Let's just randomly determine who we get. I guess we'll roll a d6. 1 to 3, it is Ellery. 4 to 6, it is Eleanor. Okay, we are playing Dr. Eleanor Woods. So, goodbye, Ellery. You're dead to us. So this is in contrast to Alone Against the Static, which I think was the last one we played, where there were two characters, but they had different stats, and so the game played out differently depending on who you were. But these two look interchangeable. Okay, let's see. Right, so this is set in the town of Esbury, which is being affected by a mystery. It does say you can choose a different investigator each time you play to help explore the various challenges, so maybe there is actually a difference depending on which one you are. So okay, we'll keep both sets of character sheets, just in case. Because there could always be prompts that say, if you're playing Ellery, do this. I guess we'll find out. Okay, so we need dice. The character sheet, we need the rulebook. I don't have the rulebook open, but I'm sure we won't really need much from it. We can open it if we need it. Let's see. Okay, so it will lead us through character creation as we play. That's good. I was thinking the characters looked a little bit sparse, so we'll fill these out. And you can actually make your own character if you would like. Okay, you have a pool of 70 skill points to allocate to spend on any skills for Dr. Woods. Okay, and we have a guide of skills that might be useful. Allocate the 70 skill points wherever you want. Okay. What does the actual character creation part look like then? Right, so 12 is kind of the beginning. Okay, so it does guide us through character creation as we go. Okay, let's make our own character then, rather than use the pre-made one. That's fun. Okay. Let me just find the blank character sheets. Let's see. Call of Cthulhu. Character sheets. Let's copy and paste this in. Okay, there we go. And we have a list of skills that might be useful, so let's just copy this so we can keep these in mind when we're creating this person. Right, we have some notes about rules. Yep, so it's explaining the basic rules even though it says you need the rulebook. So you don't really need the rulebook, I guess. It also refers to the starter set, so you can use that instead. Combat is simplified. It all seems pretty standard for the Alone Against modules. Yep. Okay. Right, let's begin. So we've got our blank character sheet. We'll also need space to note down what prompts we've been through. There might also be other things that are of interest, but we'll just jot it all down here. So we're starting with prompt 1. Our story begins in the 1920s, on the pier opposite the lakeside resort town of Esbury, Massachusetts. Your investigator's reasons for visiting the town are discussed in the relevant entries. Read through the introduction and getting started and gather everything you need, then when you're ready, go to number 1. Is Esbury a real place? There's an Amesbury, but there is not an Esbury. Okay, so it is a made-up place. Always safe, you don't want to risk insulting the locals. The sun sinks low on the horizon as you board the ferry headed across the lake to Esbury. As you set foot on the boat, the ferryman greets you with a wide smile and a cheery wave. He stands by the gangplank as you pass, welcoming the other passengers as he removes his cap to scratch at his balding head. His pudgy figure fills his well-worn suit. He looks a little awkward, but he seems a rather pleasant sort. Leaving the man behind you, you take a seat towards the prow, eyes fixed on your destination. Go to 12. You settle into a seat with your thin briefcase resting on your lap, noticing that the rest of the passengers are likewise getting comfortable for the short trip across the lake. Glancing around, you catch sight of the ferryman entering his cabin. As you sit patiently and wait for the engine to come to life, you listen to the sounds of idle chatter around you. You look out across the water and notice a thin fog beginning to form over the surface of the water as the temperature drops with the approach of night. After a few minutes, you hear the engine sputter into action and feel the ferry lurch forward. The conversations around you continue as the ferryman joins you all on deck. You can't help overhearing most of the talk, though it's surprisingly banal. Is that surprising? This is small talk on a ferry. There are almost a dozen passengers on the ferry. Most of them are simply looking to spend their money during their weekend in Esbury and to enjoy the various shops and leisure activities the lakeside town has to offer. Many of the passengers seem to come from money, as is common in Esbury. You notice a strange look from one of the women in the group. She has a full figure and brown hair and eyes. She seems to be looking you over, admiring your features. If you are creating your own investigator, yep, we have our attributes: strength, constitution, power, dexterity, appearance, size, intelligence, and education. And we should set them to 1 to 40, 3 to 50, 2 to 60, 1 to 70, and 1 to 80. Okay. Right, let's come up with a name. Let's find a 1920s American name generator. Okay, we have at the top of the list Dorothy Moore. Let's go with that. Okay, where should we put these numbers? So, if we've been noticed, maybe we have a good appearance. Let's say we're slightly above average in appearance. We can fill out the half and fifth values later as we need them. But let's see. So the sample characters are both doctors. So I would imagine they're pretty educated. Yep, both very educated. Both very intelligent. I was kind of thinking the same sort of thing. High education and intelligence. Not sure whether I want to be more educated than intelligence, but I feel education is often... they're both very useful. Let's go with maybe I'm smarter than I have formal education, but only just. Let's consult the main rulebook and see what it says like a 70 education means. So this is going to be what the numbers mean. So education. A 70 is a college graduate and an 80 would be a master's degree. So we may be left university after getting our bachelor's. Maybe we could have gone on to do a master's if we wanted to, but we decided not to do so for whatever reason, and went out into the world to do whatever it is we're doing. So I'm not feeling super strong here. So maybe let's go for let's go for 40 size, so we're quite dainty, and 50 strength. I believe we had 3 50s and 2 60s, so we're going to have 160 out of Con, Dex, or POW. POW is kind of force of personality as well as like magic resistance and that sort of thing. So I'm thinking let's say that we are quite small, physically unassuming, but like very smart, very determined, very educated. I mean, I say quite small and dainty. We've got 50s, which is average. Okay, right, so that is that. Now it goes to 80. The woman clearly sees something in you that she likes. Of course she does. We have 60 app. We are above average in appearance. Perhaps it's your looks or a glint of intelligence in your eyes. She gives you a sly wink before turning back to her companions. You likewise turn your attention to the rest of the passengers. Sitting apart from the general crowd are 2 men in dark, well-tailored suits, whispering quietly to each other. They have unamused expressions on their faces, as if they don't seem pleased to be here. Perhaps they're on business. Noticing that you're sitting alone, the ferryman approaches you and stands over you with his characteristic smile. You notice he's missing a tooth in the upper left corner of his mouth. His eyes are bright as they light upon you. Good afternoon. You look a bit lonely there, friend. What brings you to Esbury? If you're creating your own investigator, it is now time to choose an occupation. Yeah. Okay, choose one of the occupations listed below, then look it up in the suggested occupations section. Okay, so we have antiquarian, author, dilettante, doctor of medicine, journalist, police detective, private investigator, or professor. Maybe a dilettante. Maybe we come from money. I'm thinking either dilettante or author. An author of mystery books. Hello, my name is Agatha Christie, but I go by Dorothy Moore when I'm travelling incognito. I say 1 to 3 we're an author, 4 to 6 we're a dilettante. We are so dilettantes. Okay. Right, and we have some starting skill values that we should use. So let's go find the dilettante skills. Let's see, occupations. Dilettante, Lovecraftian occupation. Okay, so our skills are Artcraft, any, Firearms, other language, Ride, one interpersonal skill, and any 3 other skills. So it's a pretty flexible occupation, I suppose. And we have our suggested handy skills here. So I will use these to flesh out, to fill some gaps, I suppose. Okay, right, so we have 340s, 350s, 260s, and a 70. And then we have 7 personal interest skills as well. And this is also including credit rating. If we're a dilettante, we're probably pretty wealthy. Yes, it says credit rating 50 to 99. So I'm going to put my 70 in... do I want to put it in credit rating? So credit rating, so Call of Cthulhu, you don't track exact money. Credit rating kind of represents... It's a skill that represents how wealthy you are, pretty much. So normally it would be a kind of passive skill where that, like, if you have a high credit rating, you will generally dress very well. You will know how to act amongst wealthy people. You'll be able to fit in with high society, and you'll be able to just afford basically whatever you want. You'd only really make a credit rating roll if something is an unusual expense for you. It's like, could I even afford that? So it might not come up that much, but it could come up, and then in that case having a 70 would be very handy. But do I want that to be like my best skill? What other options do we have? What do I want my best skill to be? Maybe that's what I should start with. I could be incredibly charming. That would also fit. Yeah, let's go with 70 charm, 60 credit rating. So we are charming, rich, good with guns. Right, so we have one more 60, and this could be in one of these, or it could be in another skill, so you could pick maybe one of these. We could be persuasive, perhaps, or good with psychology. Let's remind myself what exactly psychology is good for. Psychology, I can't remember which is which. I believe psychology is reading people, or psychoanalysis is like actually, treating people. But it would make sense if we're very good at reading people. Let's see, psychology. Yes, it's the sense motive skill, it's the insight skill. I think it makes sense. Let's say that we're very good at psychology then. Okay, and then we have 3 50s and 3 40s. Quite like to be good at firearms, but I'm not sure if I want that to be a 50 or a 40. Let's say firearms is a 40, so I can kind of handle a gun, but I prefer to resolve things by talking. I think maybe Artcraft and another language for the 50s. It doesn't tell us here that any languages in particular would be useful. Let's see if the sample characters have any particular languages. So obviously in a game with many skills like Call of Cthulhu, when you're making characters, it really helps if the GM tells you what sort of skills are going to be useful in the adventure, because otherwise it's very easy to make a character who's not actually that good. Okay, so the sample characters are good at Arabic, so it is possible, that could just be decoration, but it it could be that Arabic is going to be important in this. So let's say that we are good at Arabic. We'll have a 50 in that. We'll have a 50 in thinking maybe either anthropology or archaeology. So I'm thinking, we went to university, maybe we did an undergraduate in archaeology or history or that sort of thing, and then we just didn't keep it up to the master's level. We then decided to go out and have fun in the world. Let's go for archaeology. I can't decide. I could go for both. Let's go with anthropology. I feel that fits with our people thing we've got going on. So we're very charming, we're good at reading people, we know about cultures, we know another language. I guess the dilettante is all about like being rich and interacting with other people. So that's 2 50s, we have one more 50. Let's also cross things off that we've done. So we've done firearms, we've done other languages, we've done an interpersonal skill. We've got one other skill, which is anthropology. Was the psychology, was that from here? Or I can't. Let's see. Psychology. Yes, the psychology was another skill. So we got psychology from here. Swimming. In fact, swimming is mentioned as a particularly useful skill. Okay, maybe we should be good at swimming. That's the sport we were, best at. We were in the university swim team. Yeah, let's go for 50 swimming. Or we do get some personal interest skills that we boost by 20 percentage points. So swim starts at 20, so we could just boost that up to 40 without spending one of our precious occupation skills. We do still have 2 other occupation skills. We have 3 other occupation skills we need to do. So we have 2 40s and a 50, which we need to spread between some sort of art and craft, horse riding, and something else. I'm not really feeling a horse riding vibe of this adventure, so we'll put a 40 in ride. If push comes to shove, we can ride a horse, but hopefully I won't have to. And it's not listed as one of the helpful skills, so it's probably not going to come up. Spot hidden could be our third special skill if we're perceptive. That kind of fits with the theme we've got. So let's go for spot hidden. It's also just generally a very good Call of Cthulhu skill. So we'll put, let's see, we have 150 left. Let's put our last 50 in spot hidden. I suppose if I were, min-maxing this, spot hidden would be a good candidate for a personal interest skill because it starts on 25. So if we took it as a personal interest skill, we'd get that up to 45, which is not that much worse than 50, but I don't know. And we have arts craft. What sort of art or craft should I be good at? Maybe sculpture. We have our last 40 in. So let's just check that. We should have 3 40s. That is sculpture, firearms, and ride. We should have 3 50s. That is anthropology, Arabic, and spot hidden. We should have 2 60s. That is credit rating and psychology, and 1 70, which is charm. So then we have 7 personal interest skills. So these are things we boost by 20 percentage points. And let's see, what do we got up here? So definitely I think we want swim. So swim starts on 20, so it is going up to 40. Let's keep track of how many we've done. Let's see, we've already got charm here. Maybe stealth. We could be a little bit sneaky if we are, you know, a small, unassuming person. If we're not particularly good at creeping, maybe it's more that, you know, we're good at just not being noticed, kind of blending into the background a bit. When we're not exercising our force of personality. So that's 2 personal interest skills. I don't think we're intimidating. I don't think that fits what we're doing. So let's just not have intimidate. Archaeology, I'm going to put a 20 in archaeology because I was between archaeology and anthropology, and I feel if you have knowledge of one, it makes sense to have, you know, some knowledge of the other. So archaeology starts on 1, so it will go up to 21. Appraising similarly is kind of related. So we'll put some points in appraise. It also makes sense if I'm a rich person, I am maybe good at estimating the value of things. So yes, that's 3. Yes, that's 3. No, that's 4 things, I think. Is that 4 things? Let me just count. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 basic ones, and then the rest are all personal interests. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so yes, we have got 4 personal interest skills, so we have 3 more left. We've already got firearms, handgun. I don't think this character is a brawler. They could maybe be good at climbing, though. I could also imagine them being good at fast talk. Okay, one more. One last thing. I mean, persuade or listen would be obvious choices, but is there anything else that might be more fun? Maybe not. Also, it is a little risky picking something that's, you know, it's kind of fun and interesting in a choose-your-own-adventure game, because if it's not in the book, it's not going to come up, whereas obviously if you're playing with a human GM, they can try to work skills in, even if it wasn't really intended. So it'll be interesting to see, actually, if like how many of the dilettante skills actually come up. Yeah, let's go for either listen or persuade. I'm going to go for listen. We already have some social skills. Okay, right, let's get rid of these. Let's lock that in place. And we also have skills that start on a bunch of values. Let's just note those down. And if we need the half and fifth values for hard and extreme successes, we can calculate those as they come up. Own language is edu, our edu is 70. I guess our own language is English. I think this is a pretty okay character. Okay, we do also have our hit points and stuff, which I'm sure it'll probably explain to us in a moment. We are a dilettante, so we go to prompt 71. You tell the man that you're here on pleasure, not business. You smile at him and he smiles back. Like so many others then, eh? He replies. Can't say I blame you. Esbury is a nice little place. Lots to do here on the lake. Boating, fishing, swimming. And there's some camping to be had on the other side of town. There's also a nice dance hall close to the pier. That'll be closed for the night, what with that estate sale of Professor Harris's things going on. That might interest you too if you have a little extra money you're looking to spend. I do. I have a high credit rating. The man pauses for a moment as if unsure of what to say, then finally extends his hand and smiles warmly. I'm Lance Sanford, by the way. It's a pleasure. I think we're probably interested in... So our options here are we can inquire about Professor Harris, we can ask Lance Sanford about himself. I don't think we care about Lance. We can ask about the estate sale, or we can just pass the time waiting until we get to Esbury. I think we're interested in both Professor Harris and the estate sale, but mostly in Professor Harris. What was he Professor of? I went to university as well, you know. The ferryman raises a questioning eyebrow at you. Professor Harris? Can't say much, really. I didn't know him all that well, but he seemed like a nice guy. I was sad to hear that he died. You gently press for more information about his death. Sanford frowns, but answers, Officer Powell says it's suicide. I'm inclined to believe him, but Professor Harris seemed happy enough to me. More than content to relax in Esbury like anyone else. In between his studies, of course. Ancient Indian history, I think it was. I had coffee with the professor a few weeks ago, and he talked my ear off about it. I couldn't understand half of what he said, but he was quite excited about whatever it was. You exchange a few more pleasantries with Sanford before he goes off to finish guiding the boat into port. You pass the time in casual conversation with the other passengers and in observing the scenery. You note the tall pines and the sloping hills along the lake shore around Esbury. These features, and the small town beyond, are just visible through the growing mist, but squinting helps make them out to your satisfaction. In time you arrive on the pier at Esbury, grateful to be off the water. He probably found ancient Indian deep one summoning stones. That's how they get you. You take your first steps onto the pier with the rest of the ferry passengers, trying to get to your land legs once again. The passengers still chat casually as they walk off to their destinations. You note one last little flirty wink from the full-figured woman as she struts along confidently behind the woman accompanying her, and you feel the two dark-suited men push past you at a brisk pace, nudging out of their way. Sanford gives you one last wave and a smile as he begins tending to the old rust-stained boat that is his pride and joy. The last light of the sun is fading fast, and the fog is growing thick on the water now. The night is still young, but you would rather not be wandering around in the dark and fog of a town you're unfamiliar with. Taking in your surroundings, you see a sizable crowd jockeying for entrance into a lavish, modern-looking building along the lakeside. A folding sign sits out front, illuminated by a lantern. The words, Estate Sale Tonight, are written on it in large, bold letters. While this seems to be the main attraction, you can also seek out somewhere to stay for the night and set about your work in the morning. If you've not done so already, calculate your secondary attributes. Okay, that's of page 34 to 35 in the core rulebook. Okay, right. So I guess I'm probably in my 30s, which means I make an improvement check for my education. Age 30s. So for an improvement check, you roll a D100, and then you want to fail the roll. So my education is 70, so I'm unlikely to fail this. Okay, my education does not change. Then have the derived attributes, so my sanity points are equal to my POW, so I am 60 sane. Magic points are 1/5 of POW. So that's going to be... oh god. Mental maths. It's going to be 12. $3d6 multiplied by 5 for luck, and it did suggest at the beginning we use the rule where you can spend luck to improve your dice rolls. Oh no, we are not lucky at all. We have 20 luck. This is terrible. Hit points are size plus con divided by 10, rounded down. There's no rounding to be done here because we have nice round numbers. Okay, size plus con, so that's going to be 9 hit points. Move rate, okay, that could be relevant to a chase. Where does move goes down here? Okay, right. Dex and strength are not less than size. If both dex and strength are each greater than size, then we have move 9. I guess we're small, but we have strong legs and can move them quickly. Build is somewhere. Yeah. Okay, we add size and strength. So that's 90. So our damage bonus and build are both 0. And that's okay. Okay, and we were on prompt 3. Okay, I think let's visit the estate sale. We can at least check it out for a little bit before we go find somewhere to stay. Maybe we could buy the estate, that would be convenient. Pushing through the crowd, you make your way towards the estate sale. Judging by the number of people packed into the dance hall, this seems to be quite the event. Most of the people here are well dressed, with conspicuous amounts of jewellery and designer clothing on display. You see a broad-shouldered man in a policeman's uniform standing by the door. He has a scarred, yet clean-shaven face, with not conspicuous amounts of jewellery, a scarred yet clean-shaven face and a baton at his side. His brow is furrowed in a serious expression, and he watches the commotion through narrow eyes. As you mingle with the assaulted academics and collectors, you notice a few of the faces that stand out in the crowd. Most importantly, you spot a man in flowing orange robes with tawny skin. He seems more than a little out of place and is garnering some odd looks from the other guests. Glancing around further, you happen to notice the two dark-suited gentlemen from earlier standing in the corner towards the front of the room, talking to a young dark-haired man in a dated yet elegant long coat. He is of a slight build and has rather sharp features. A thin wisp of a moustache hangs beneath his nose. Most noticeable, though, is the rather attractive young woman standing on stage at the front of the room next to a bespectacled old man. Long black hair cascades down her shoulders, accentuating her pale features and complementing her formal black dress. Occasionally, she and the older gentleman peek at objects hidden beneath white sheets, the sale items waiting to be displayed. We are really noticing this woman a lot, and she's noticed us. Let us make our way towards the stage and the woman. It seems fated. Like, hello, I was wondering if I could find a place to stay tonight, but then I saw you. You make your way to the stage, navigating around the many guests in the dance hall. Your eyes lock firmly on the woman, and hers rise to meet yours as she looks up from peeking at one of the hidden objects. She stops what she is doing as you approach, and a smile appears on her lips as she notices that she's caught your eye. She rests her left hand on her hip as you come to stand at the foot of the stage. The old man behind her continues his inspection, either unaware or uncaring that you've come to distract them. The woman leans towards you over the edge of the stage. You can see her makeup has been painstakingly applied, despite her status as a recent widow. Oh, right, yes, of course. Okay, this isn't the woman from the boat. Oh well. I guess my character just has a thing for women. You clear your throat as you meet her gaze and promptly introduce yourself. She extends her hand to you formally. Well, aren't you a new face in town? She teases. We get those quite a bit here. No doubt you plan to bid on some of my late husband's things. Good for both of us, I say. Just be sure to give a good price for little old me, alright? She winks slyly at you. You realise now would be a good time to get some more information from this woman who might be the most well-informed regarding your interests. She certainly seems like the flirty sort and will probably respond well to more of the same. I don't know what my interests are. It's not told me what my character is actually here for. What are the sample characters here for? Not really clear, they're just academics into archaeology and anthropology. I mean, I guess that's what the recently deceased professor was as well. Okay, make a charm roll. I'm so charming. So charming. Okay. I charm the pants off this recent widow. Succeed, go to 43. You take her hand in yours and bring it to your lips, keeping eye contact with her as you do so. I feel this is written for a male character. She giggles and her smile grows wider as she regards you with interest. My, aren't you the charmer? If I weren't a widow, I'd be thrilled. But I still must mourn my husband, you understand. He was a stuffy old goat and obsessed with his studies. I've no problem selling his things, mind you, but that's because I need the money. A girl like me gets used to a certain standard of living, after all. But I can't very well go chasing after the first suitor who comes to replace him, no matter how fetching. She winks at you again and rests her hand on your arm and lowers her voice to a whisper. But perhaps you could join me for a drink later. I have a little bit set aside for good company. I won't tell if you don't. She seals the conversation with a final wink before lifting her hand and turning back to the stage and its hidden artifacts. Let me just check. Was this the woman from the boat? I can't remember how the woman from the boat was described. Let's just have a look. 12... a woman with a full figure and brown hair and eyes, and here we have let's see, we were on 15. Young woman with long black hair. Okay, so definitely not the same woman. We are just catching a lot of attention here. Okay, we're on number 43. We succeeded on the charm roll. Yep, we've been invited to have a drink. We go to 17. You have begun gathering information, Esri. Would you like to interact some more? You may now select another option from those listed. Don't repeat a choice already selected. Okay. Once you have chosen 3 options from the list below, or before if you're ready to move on, go to 35. I was kind of interested in seeing what was for sale, but there isn't an option to just skip to the actual sale. Maybe that's what 35 is. Let's have a quick peek at the first sentence. Yes, everyone is called to attention in 35, so I guess that is the actual sale, so we'll just look into some things and then we will do that. So let's see, we're right next to the dark-suited... No, the dark-suited men. Let's mingle with the crowd of guests. Rather than single anyone or anything in particular out, you feel it would be best to use your time to get a general impression and speak to multiple people to get their points of view. Hearing the talk around the room, you come to understand that most of the people who have gathered here are merely treating this as a social event. However, there are a fair number of academics and collectors in attendance as well. Judging by the relative wealth of the townsfolk, you imagine that there will be a lot of bids placed on the items. While walking among the guests, you happen to notice a pair of men conversing in hushed tones. They seem to be trying to avoid being overheard, but a keen ear might be able to catch what is being said. Make a listen roll. Okay, our listen is 40. We hear what they say. Go to 2. You position yourself close to the men and tune your ears to their conversation. Between you and me, I heard that most of these items are fakes, outright hoaxes and counterfeits. Harris was a doddering old nut. He claimed that his findings predate the earliest known records of ancient India, but that's impossible. They're completely inconsistent with all the other data. And besides, there's a reason why he left the Miskatonic, if you catch my meaning. The other man nods his approval. You aren't wrong. His findings aren't properly supported by evidence, yet he kept trying to publish his hogwash. I imagine that's why they had him resign. Still, at least a few of the items might be authentic, so hopefully this won't be a total waste of time. The first man shifts his stance and lowers his volume slightly again, to where it is just perceptible. Maybe. And that monk over there does seem to lend some sort of validity to your claim. If an actual Indian wants them, perhaps there is something valuable here. Okay, let's go talk to the monk. The man in orange. You approach the strange man. He's not strange. He seems well-travelled and weary, and his long orange robes are a stark contrast to the fine suits and dresses of the New England financial elite. He seems decidedly out of place. You open your mouth as if to speak, and find him staring intensely at you. Let's have another look at some earlier prompts. I assumed the professor had, like, American Indian artifacts, like Native American artifacts. But maybe not. Let's see. I believe it was 71 when we talked to the guy. We asked about Professor Harris. Okay, ancient Indian history. So I guess it's actual India, not as in ancient history of the natives. Okay, so we approach the strange man. He is staring intensely at me. Make an anthropology roll. Got a 50 in that. But I fail. I have no idea who this man is. I'm not even sure he's human. You blurt out a greeting, trying to make the stranger feel welcome. His face contorts into a look of disappointment, and the man turns his back on you. You've clearly displeased him somehow, and he wants nothing more to do with you. Okay. Well, we've done 3 things. Now I go to prompt 35, which is not hyperlinked. No. The murmuring of the crowd dies down, and people begin to gather around the stage as Amelia and the older gentleman call everyone to attention. The widow strides confidently to the front of the stage where the lights are centered. She flashes a broad smile at the crowd and begins to speak. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad you all could make it tonight. As you know, my husband recently passed, and, well... At this point, Amelia begins to tear up theatrically, so much that her makeup begins to smear. She produces a handkerchief to dry her eyes before continuing. Well, I'm very upset. I miss my poor William very much, and I don't know what I'll do without him. That's why I brought you all here tonight. I hope you can find some use for his collection. I know that he would be happy to see his things go to those who value them highly. I hope you'll show this poor widow a kindness by finding something you like. But now, let us begin. I leave the auctioning to Mr. Warren. With her opening statement complete, Amelia moves stage left and allows the bespectacled old man, presumably Mr. Warren, to take centre stage. He clears his throat before speaking. Tonight we have 6 very ancient and very valuable items for sale from the estate of Professor William Harris. Though exceedingly strange, I have deemed these items to be authentic to the best of my ability. I I've placed a ballot box, slip of paper, and a pencil on each of the 6 tables next to the item for sale. If you wish to bid on an item, simply write your name and the amount you are willing to pay for it on a slip, and then place it in the box. The item will be sold to the highest bidder. All of the proceeds will go to the wife of the deceased. With that, Mr. Warren moves to reveal the gathered items. Mr. Warren approaches the first table and removes the cloth covering to reveal an odd pair of clay cylinders covered with strange etchings. They are small and seem quite fragile, with large cracks running down their sides. Mr. Warren proceeds to the next table and likewise uncovers the item in question. This one is significantly larger and more ornate. It appears to be some sort of altar or reliquary, heavily decorated with yellow-green gemstones. However, there is one similarity with the first item: the presence of the strange, same written characters, though these ones seem to have been painted on. The old scholar turns to the next item in question and displays it for all to see: a decorated crown of solid bronze wrought with the image of a Hindu god. The next item is certainly the most mundane: a large, thick, leather-bound journal that appears to be well worn and beaten, with several loose papers crammed between the pages. Mr. Warren senses the confusion of some members of the crowd and clarifies that the notebook is the assembled personal works and studies of Professor Harris. The item that follows the journal is a well-preserved ceremonial robe of a Brahmin priest. The cloth is pure white. The last item is perhaps the strangest of all. It is a small statue or idol, presumably one of the many deities of ancient India, made from a blue-green stone in the shape of a rather grotesque lizard-like creature. The craftsmanship is crude and gaudy so that it appears fake. People begin moving among the items, looking them over and conversing quietly. Make either an appraise or an archaeology roll. Okay, I'm not amazing at either of those, but I'm better at appraise. That is 74, so I could spend luck, but I don't want to. That'll be in fact 74. I can't spend enough luck for that. I only have 20 luck, so I fail. I have no idea what the junk is. You glance over the items, but you do not have an eye for antiquities. As near as you can tell, everything is as it appears to be, and as Mr. Warren claims. Still, as you look over the notebook, you notice it contains personal accounts as well as academic findings. It will likely be a good source of information regarding Professor Harris. You notice that you're not the only one looking over the items with such interest. The monk appears to be closely scrutinising the stranger items as well, and the dark-suited gentleman from earlier seems to have taken a liking to the curious idol. Apart from this, various other guests wander around the tables, occasionally fixing on one in particular. There are many guests, and a fair number of bids being placed. If you'd like to bid on any of the items, now is the time. Okay, so I can bid on a number of things, and let's see. Okay, each successful bid will lower your credit rating for future bids. So I could bid on the clay cylinders, the altar, the crown, the journal, the ceremonial robe, or the strange idol. I think I'm most interested in the journal. And we have an ad break about to come up, so I will start the ad break now, and we will have a 3-minute break, and then we'll come back and bid on the journal and see what happens there. So I will see you in a few minutes. Okay, we're back from the ads. Let's bid on the journal. You feel the information in the journal is essential to your interests, and you cannot help but make a bid. You place your paper with the others and hope that Mr. Warren calls your name when the amounts are compared. Make an appraise or credit rating roll. I mean, obviously credit rating, because that's what I'm much better at. $93. Okay. You placed a modest bid on the journal, thinking its unremarkable nature would prevent anyone from paying anything resembling a large sum. Clearly you were mistaken, as another name is called, and a bright-eyed and blonde-haired youth goes to claim the book for a price that is noticeably more than your offer. Okay. Hang on, which number was that? I should have noted that down. So we failed the roll, so it was 14. Right, yes. Okay. Right. Let's look at the descriptions of the things again. So we have clay cylinders covered with strange etchings, an altar or reliquary heavily decorated with gemstones, a crown of solid bronze, the journal, a robe, and an idol. I think I'm kind of interested in the idol and the clay cylinders, and not really the others. So let's try the idol. Something draws you to the curious idol, and you feel compelled to make a bid. You notice that you're not alone in this, as the monk and one of the dark-suited men both place bids of their own into the box. You hope that yours is high enough. Ooh. Make an appraise or credit rating roll at extreme difficulty. Um, 17 is not an extreme success. But I could spend 5 points of luck to make it an extreme success. Sure, let's do it. Let's succeed. And I'm not going to bid on anything else because I don't have luck. I don't have much luck. Okay, 86. Clearly none of the others expected anyone to pay such a ludicrous price for the crude idol. You still can't believe how much money you offered for it, but the grotesque and misshapen thing is now yours. The monk and the men in dark suits stare daggers at you, but no one else seems to mind or take much notice beyond a few raised eyebrows that anyone would pay such an excessive amount for such a trifling and outlandish thing. Still, when you look Amelia's way, you can tell she is quite pleased. Reduce your credit rating by 10 percentiles. My actual credit rating went down. I've spent a significant portion of my money on this. Okay. I'm not buying anymore. I'm down to being averagely wealthy. Okay. I do not wish to bid on any more items, so go to 16. Your business here is completed. You see the crowd staring covetously at the newly acquired items, and you spot Amelia looking smug and satisfied with a leather bag full of cash. Mr. Warren means to clear away the tables while Officer Powell stands by the door and directs Bill out of the building and into the ever-thickening fog. Though some seem content to stay and socialise, you feel it would be best to go bed down for the night. Okay. Okay. While the estate sale seems interesting, you would feel more secure with a roof over your head for the night. That doesn't feel like an amazing first sentence, given I've just come here from the estate sale, but okay. I guess they already had this entry for going to find a bed and they just kind of reused it. You pull someone out from the crowd and inquire as to where you can find a room to rent. You're directed a few blocks into town to a modestly priced hotel a few buildings down from Esbury's police station. Yes, they didn't tell me to write the item down. Well, you know, maybe in the prompt it'll say, if you bid on, if you won the thing, do such and such. We don't know. But yes, not an amazing sign. As you enter in from the cool night air, you're greeted by the heat of a roaring fire. The small front room feels stuffy and cramped. The bulk of the space is dominated by the large service counter, behind which sits a wiry-looking wisp of a woman. You turn her wide eyes to you and asks your name, and then quotes your price as more than fair. With the transaction complete, you haul your thin briefcase up the stairs, unpack it, and settle into your room for the night. You wake in the morning grateful for the rest. You rise from your bed and take in the modest surroundings that make up your room. The furnishings are sparse, a small, poor-quality dresser and a cramped and dusty writing desk tucked into the corner. Sitting atop the desk is a plate of eggs and toast, apparently set out for you by the hotel's owner. The walls are plain and unadorned, save for a single window that faces towards the lake. However, this view is currently blocked by the incredibly thick fog, which has taken on a pale green hue. Your vision is obscured entirely and you cannot see into the depths of that outlandish green mist. You also notice your personal belongings placed around the room exactly as you left them the night before. Nothing bad ever happened with green mist. After getting dressed and eating the modest breakfast set out for you, you're ready to begin your day. You take a moment to consider what that means for you. Your mind turns to Professor Harris. If you're so inclined, you might be able to investigate the circumstances of his death further. Considering you don't have his widow Amelia's address, you'd have to start your search with the official report filed with Officer Powell at the police station. Alternatively, you could take your free time to look through your belongings and examine any items you might have. The hotel owner has been in your room, so check if your things might be in order. Or perhaps you have some other reason to look over your possessions. Finally, if you feel that your business in Esbury is concluded, you can always try to find Lance Sanford at the ferry. That'd be quite funny, just show up, go to the auction and then immediately leave. Although I'm sure it wouldn't be that simple. I'm sure the hotel owner did nothing wrong. Let's go to the police station. You step out into the greenish mist. You feel it clinging tightly to you as you make your way the short distance to the police station. Upon entering the small brick building, you are struck with a sense of claustrophobia. The walls here are uncomfortably close together, and the space is tight. Crammed into the tiny structure are a large desk, several filing cabinets, and a few chairs. A closet-sized holding cell with iron bars sits at the rear of the room. Behind the large desk is Officer Powell, smoking a cigar with his feet propped up on the table. His coat is unbuttoned and his hat lies on top of a stack of papers next to a battered old revolver. He's evidently the only police officer on the island. He opens one eye and frowns at you, sighing through his cigar as he straightens himself up to look presentable. If you're bothering me right now, I'm going to assume this is important. You mentioned that you would like to see the police report for Professor William Harris's death, to which he replies with a snort. You have no business dealing with that. Even if you did, this is my jurisdiction. Shove off and leave me in peace. He doesn't seem cooperative, but perhaps you could convince him that you have some special circumstance that warrants you to look through the files. Make a fast talk roll. Okay. My fast talk is a 25, which is poor, but not terrible. Yeah, but I rolled an 82, which is terrible. You try to convince the officer that you have a particularly good reason for needing access to the file, but he simply doesn't care. Scram, stranger, you're ruining my smoke. If you want to dig at the dead guy, go bother his widow. His place is over on the north side of town, right next to the church. Can't damn well miss it. Officer Powell will be of no more help at this time. I mean, I wanted to know where the house was, so really this was a great success. Oh, not hyperlinks. Terrible. You walk into town towards the Harris address. Even knowing the location, it's difficult for you to find your way due to your unfamiliarity with the town and the density of the peculiar green mist. As a result, it's some time before you arrive at the Harris house. As you approach the building, a man steps out of the fog, blocking your path. He's young and thin, with rather angular features, and the faint hint of a moustache atop his lip. He's dressed in a dark suit and stares at you from beneath a flat cap. You're an unwelcome surprise. I don't know what you're looking for, but you won't find it here. Your eyes betray you as you glance at the Harris home. The man scowls visibly. Why don't you leave the poor widow alone, you creep? If you want her to bother you, you're going to have to get through old Joshua here. Capiche? Wow, I was invited to a drink after, a flirty meeting with the widow last night. What sort of a welcome is this? His hand brushes beneath his coat as if searching for something, but then he stops himself. He pauses for a moment, looking you over once more before spitting on the ground at your feet and turning away. Despite Joshua's urgings, you feel compelled to speak to Amelia yourself. You approach the front of the house and note your surroundings. The house's exterior hints at the wealth of the occupants, but then again, so do most places in town. Directly across from the residence is a small church, whose religious iconography seems to have inspired the Harrises in the design of their own home. A bronze cross hangs over the front door, and decorative columns line the outside walls of the two-storey house. All in all, the architectural style is somewhat baroque, complete with a pair of carved angels lounging beneath the eaves that are just visible through the strange haze. You knock on the door and wait in the mist for a few moments, hoping for someone to hear you. Eventually, much to your relief, the widow Amelia answers the door. She's wearing a bright red dress, which accentuates her deep crimson lipstick. She appears to have taken great care over her appearance. She flashes you a smile and invites you inside. This is a very different welcome to the guy we just bumped into. The house opens into a large foyer, and you see various crates and bundles stacked along the walls. Just selling off a few of the more common things. Mind the men, the porter hasn't come for it yet. She takes you by the hand to lead you past the stacks of items, helping you to pick your way through the deceased Professor Harris's assembled possessions. She takes you into a small drawing room full of antique furniture and offers you some coffee. After settling in and exchanging a few well-mannered pleasantries, you ask in more detail about the late Professor Harris. Amelia sighs theatrically and looks down at her hands. I can't imagine what you want to ask about William. I found him in his study with a gun still in his mouth. What more could you want to know? Make a psychology roll. Okay. My psychology is 60. This also feels like a situation worth spending luck on unless I roll outlandishly badly. 16. Perfect. You don't know why you hadn't realised it before. Selling all of his things, adopting such a flirty demeanour, dismissing questions about her husband's death. Amelia doesn't seem too broken up about her husband's passing. She's hiding something. You'd bet your career on it. You suspect she's involved in Professor Harris's death in some form or another. That seemed kind of obvious. You open your mouth, prepared to call her bluff and press her for more information, but you are interrupted by a loud knock at the door. Amelia jumps up, startled, and stands there for a moment in confusion as the pounding on the door resumes. Police! Open the door! Amelia's face drains white as she goes to answer the knock. Your gut tells you something is wrong here. You feel uneasy about the officer at the door. You tell yourself you're being irrational and on edge, but you have trouble fighting that feeling. You have a few precious moments to react. So I can ignore my instincts and wait, or I can make a stealth roll. This feels like a weird thing to do, but sure. This feels like a very odd thing to do. Hide when the police are knocking at someone's door. But if I have instincts saying there's something bad with this situation, I guess I'll go for it. Nope, I fail. Your instincts get the better of you and you feel compelled to make your escape. You rise from your seat, looking for suitable exits. The only way that doesn't lead towards the entrance is through the kitchen. You don't know if there's an exit that way, but you think it's worth a shot. Unfortunately, you never get to take it. As you rise and head for the kitchen doorway, Officer Powell bursts into the room, shouting, "Freeze! Police!" You glance over your shoulder and see his revolver leveled at you, and you go stiff. You're under arrest for trespassing. You're going to come with me, now. He has you dead in his sights. Talking would do you little good, as he's already caught you trying to flee the scene. You should probably do what he says. On the other hand, you could try to run. Staring down the barrel of a gun, the odds don't look good, but maybe you'd like your chances better with the gun than the prison cell. What? Under arrest for trespassing? I've not misclicked a link, have I? This doesn't feel right. I'm not trespassing. Yeah. So I'm with Amelia. Then the police show up. She goes to answer the door. And then I'm accused of trespassing. What? How am I trespassing? Where has Amelia gone? What? This feels very odd. I'm just gonna have a look. What would happen if I ignored my instincts? So if I ignored my instincts, Officer Powell still comes in, but with Amelia, and arrests me for trespassing. This is really weird. Okay, fine. I guess I'm being arrested for trespassing. I don't think I would make a run for it. I'm gonna go quietly. Maybe we can explain this, whatever's going on here. The officer is armed and angry, so you decide it's probably best not to resist. You're escorted out of the house at gunpoint into the sickly green fog. Amelia neither says nor does anything as you pass. She simply stares at you as you go. On the street, just outside the Harris property, you spot Joshua grinning madly. His eyes meet yours and his smile gets just a bit wider. He put Officer Powell up to this. He's not even trying to hide it. That still doesn't explain why, but at least you know for a certainty that Joshua is not friendly to you, and that he has Powell in his pocket. Powell in his pocket. This doesn't explain why Amelia didn't say anything, though. She owns the house. She could have just said, no, this person isn't trespassing. This doesn't feel like a situation that makes sense, but okay. You mull this over as you're marched through the misty streets and taken to the police station. You're ushered into the dim and dingy room, shoved into the closet-sized cell on the far wall. Officer Powell turns the key in the lock, sealing you in the cell. He settles into his cage and pays you no further mind as he begins puffing on a cigar. She did kill her husband, yes, but it seems that Officer Powell doesn't know that, because she's not been arrested. So, as far as everyone else is concerned, Amelia is an innocent woman and owns this house that I was supposedly trespassing in. She could have just said, no, this is my guest. And I don't get why she wouldn't say that. But, whatever. I can try to convince him to let me out. So let's try that. It's a fast talk roll. I'm not amazing at fast talk. Yes. So he's kind of he's complicit in this. He's being paid by this guy Joshua, but I still don't get why Amelia didn't say anything, unless she has some reason for, I don't know. It just feels a very odd situation. Anyway, I succeeded on my fast talk roll. You turn your attention to Officer Powell and plead with him to release you. Initially, he pays you no mind. Eventually, however, you mention that you'll leave town if he lets you go, and that seems to seal the deal. Having you out of the way makes my life a little bit easier. Get the hell out of here before I change my mind. If I see you again, you're getting a bullet. You'd not hesitate to leave the cell as he unlocks it. Okay. Feeling that it's the best course of action right now, you return to your room at the hotel. You turn the key in the lock and your door swings open to reveal a startling scene. Your room has been ransacked. The bed is overturned and the covers are strewn about. The dresser drawers here have all been pulled out and emptied. Your briefcase lies open on the floor. Anything of value you had is gone. Anything you may have gained from the estate sale is no longer in your possession, and anything you brought with you beyond the basic essentials is likewise missing. The window hangs open, letting the greenish mist into the room. You close it to keep out the chill and begin to set things straight while you overcome the shock of what has happened. As you consider your options, the sound of a loud and violent commotion drifts in from the room next door. Let's check it out. Trying to work out the story here. I'm seeing connections with the Shadow over Innsmouth. You know, like in that it's a seaside town where everyone is complicit in the evil cult, and they I believe they searched the investigator's hotel room, and he has to try to escape. So I can see connections, but I don't feel that it's really been set up properly yet. This is a very confusing situation. Anyway, fearing that someone might be in danger, or perhaps that this commotion is somehow related to the theft from your room, you rush to investigate. You find the adjacent room's door open, and inside you discover a large and familiar-looking man in a dark suit. He looms over the prone body of a beaten and bloodied Buddhist monk. The man in the suit has clearly worked him over. The suited man has his back to you, and you doubt you've been noticed yet. With a little luck, you might be able to get the drop on him and subdue him quickly. Alternatively, if you have come into possession of a firearm during your stay in Esbury, you could also resort to lethal force. I do not have a firearm. And I assume that the sample characters don't start with a firearm, because it says if you've come into possession of one. Yeah, no, they don't start with a firearm. Okay, a fighting brawl roll. These are the only options. I have to either fight the person or shoot them. Fighting brawl starts at 25. That's all I have in it, because I didn't put any more points in this. You get a bonus die for surprise. If you succeed, go to 97. If you fail, take D3 damage. If you survive, goes to 129. However, if this reduces you to 0 hit points, the man beats you to death. I mean, you have to be pretty feeble character to only start with D3 hit points. So maybe there's some other means to get injured before this happens that I've managed to evade somehow. But I guess I'm fighting. So let's roll my bonus die. Okay, 26. I can spend 1 point of luck to make that into a success. I believe in normal combat you can't spend luck on rolls, but this isn't normal combat, I guess. This is jumping someone from behind, and it also said it simplified the combat rules, so I feel justified in doing this. You rush the man, swing for his head. Your blow lands and carries him into the wall. With a sickening crack, he's rendered unconscious and collapses in a heap on the floor. Oh god, I've killed him. You stand over the wide-eyed monk. He seems battered and bruised, and is in no doubt in some degree of pain. Still, he manages to rise to his feet and extends his hand in thanks. He offers words of gratitude to you for rescuing him from his attacker. I'm glad that you came when you did. That one was rather violent. It is regrettable you had to hurt him so, but he will live. You inquire about the reason for the brawl, and the monk replies slowly, His friend robbed me of some of the relics of my temple. This one wished to stay behind and inflict harm on me so that I would not pursue them. You mention the robbery in your room and express common cause with him. The monk smiles at you and shakes your hand more vigorously. Then we shall go after our things together. I heard them discuss where they would meet up later. After that one, he points to the unconscious thug, was done with me. Wondering at your good fortune and not willing to turn down any aid, you accept the monk's offer. You doubt the suited man will be waking anytime soon, and you'll be both gone by then. You simply leave him and exit the hotel, with the orange-robed Buddhist leading you through the mist. Banyu, the Buddhist monk, chats casually with you as you walk through the fog. You both know that the light is beginning to dim through the mist. and this becomes a topic of conversation for a few minutes. It will be even harder to see soon. I would not like to be out and about any longer than we must. This fog is most unusual. Is this hue common here? You respond that the greenish colour of the fog is highly unusual, and he seems mildly perturbed. I've seen nothing like it at my temple in India either. The conversation continues like this for some time, until finally you arrive at your destination. The place in question is a small house located on the edge of town, near the church. Banyu informs you that he has no intention of going inside, as he knows it may result in violence and he is opposed to physical conflict. He shoots you a quick glance and then goes to stand by the church. Okay, so he's opposed to, conducting violence, but it's totally fine with me conducting violence on his behalf. You try the door and find it unlocked. You have no doubt that the men inside will be armed, so you slip in quietly, hoping to avoid notice. Notes down Meet Banyu, entry 215 on your investigator sheet. Later you may be prompted to visit Banyu if you know where to meet him. At that time you may then go to 215. Okay, so it tells you to note down some things, but it didn't tell me to note down that I'd won an auction thing. So I guess the auction was truly unimportant then. Make a stealth roll. $41. This feels like the sort of situation I want to succeed, so I'm going to spend 1 point of luck. Hopefully I don't have to make a luck roll at any point, that would suck. You approach the house and place your hand on the doorknob. You hear voices inside, so you pause, waiting for them to stop. You press your ear to the door. The conversation eventually fades and you hear footsteps walking away, vanishing into the depths of the building. Feeling satisfied that you won't be spotted immediately, you turn the knob and creep inside. Glancing about, you see a small living room and kitchen with 2 doors at opposite ends of the common area. The door on your left is wide open, and you can see a set of stairs leading down. The door to your right is closed. You assume it leads to the bedroom. Let's check out the bedroom. So we heard footsteps walking away, vanishing into the depths of the building. It didn't say that we heard a door, so I'm assuming that the people have gone downstairs, and so the bedroom is likely to be unoccupied. You open the door to find a bedroom much as you'd expected. The room clearly belongs to a bachelor, as the only feminine object is a set of lace sleepwear lying across the bed. You look to a nearby nightstand and see several framed photographs of Joshua and Amelia, so you assume the clothes are hers. Peeking out of a drawer in the nightstand is an open box of bullets, as well as several boxes of bootleg whiskey. Okay, Joshua was the guy who called the police on me. I guess this makes sense. So the reason Amelia didn't say anything is because she must have known that Joshua was behind this, and he would expose that she's been sleeping with him or something, and ruin her reputation. Because this is the 1920s, and it is bad for a woman to sleep with a man, but not bad for a man to sleep with a woman. Although she was recently married, so I guess she was cheating on her husband with him, which looks bad. Peeking out of a drawer, yep, read that. You scan the rest of the room. The only other object of note is a dresser. You search it and find it to be full of men's clothing, the sort that Joshua would wear. However, as you are rifling through his things, you find an envelope. Turning it over, you see that it's unsealed, and judging by the crumpled state of it, the letter inside has been read several times over. You pull out the letter and begin reading. It appears to be a correspondence between Joshua and a Dr. Weber based out of Arkham. Weber is, apparently, a psychotherapist that Joshua sees on a monthly basis. According to the letter, the past few months have been difficult for Joshua. In addition to his criminal activities and his relationship with Amelia, he has been troubled by strange dreams which Dr. Weber labelled as obsessive delusion. Joshua has a fixation with a particular dream of a beautiful city in a far-off land. He describes the city as made of marble and says that sometimes he wakes up crying because he has to leave it behind in his dreams. He also reports seeing a frightening lizard thing in the water off the shore of this strange city. Sometimes in the night, it whispers that it knows the way to the city. Though the lizard thing scares him, he listens to the whispers. Joshua professes a deep desire to go to the city, though he doesn't know where it is or even if it's real. For his part, Dr. Weber assures Joshua that these things are completely fictitious and that he must find a way to return to reality and leave the delusions behind. You return the letter to the envelope and then slip everything back where you found it, thinking about how this affects the course of events here in Esbury. Silently, you return to the main area of the house. You may now investigate the basement or leave the house. Let's investigate the basement. I need to find my stuff still. You cautiously descend the stairs, which creak beneath your feet. When you reach the bottom, you find yourself in a dark and dusty basement, illuminated by a single dim and flickering bulb that dangles precariously from the ceiling. The room smells faintly of cigar smoke. You notice an old table across from you, on which sits a strange collection of items. A pair of cracked clay cylinders, a gemstone-studded altar with a curious scroll, a stack of papers, and an unnatural-looking idol of sea green stone fashioned in the shape of a lizard-like creature. Behind the table is a still and other bootlegging equipment. You might consider looking over the items you found here, or you can simply leave the basement alone. I mean, these are obviously the items that were stolen, so I guess we'll look them over. You stand over the table of curious artifacts, confident they have something to do with the strange events in Esbury. Yes, they do. They're the things from the auction. I guess the rest of the adventure isn't really written assuming that you actually went to the auction, which is a little odd. You decide it's best to look them over and glean what information you can from them. You begin by leafing through the stack of notes. You realise that they contain some of the same characters that are written on some of the ancient items. You may be able to use these notes to assist in any translation attempts you wish to make. There is also an empty sack on the table that is used to bring these relics here. You're free to load them back up and take them with you. Okay. Let's grab my idol first. You look the idol over. It's made of a sea green stone and chiseled in the likeness of a water lizard of some sort. The sculpture is grotesque and hideous, and the depiction of the lizard-like creature unnerves you. Still, the work is extremely well preserved and unquestionably ancient. You feel uncomfortable staring at the alien-looking thing for too long, so you stow it away in the sack out of sight. So, I guess we don't have a shadow of it into the situation here. What we have is that Joshua, presumably through sleeping with Amelia, was exposed to some weird stuff that Professor What's-His-Name was investigating. This caused Joshua to have strange dreams and make him become obsessed with this stuff, and eventually something happened which resulted in the apparent suicide of the professor, although it seems it was not a suicide, that his wife had something to do with it. And now Joshua is stealing the things so that he can get to this dream city somehow. I think that's what's going on. Now let's grab the journal. Looking through the book, you become deeply engrossed and spend the next few hours in study. The time spent yields valuable information. Professor Harris made several trips to India starting about 12 years ago. During these visits, he went to multiple sites to make observations and recover artifacts. His longest and most profitable trip appears to have been 10 years ago during an excursion to Sarnath, India, where he writes about recovering several items from an active Buddhist shrine. Recovering in quotes there. Apparently Professor Harris had some regrets about this theft, but he couldn't resist having the artifacts for his personal collection. The description of the items he came across in Sarnath notes some of the items at the estate sale last night. The clay cylinders, the gemstone encrusted altar, and the lizard-like idol are described in detail in the entries relating to his trip to Sarnath. Sarnath, of course, mentioned in the H.P. Lovecraft story, The Doom That Came to Sarnath, and I believe was inhabited by lizard people. These same items then appeared throughout the rest of his journal. He'd clearly been studying these items over the past decade and developed something of a fixation with them. It was the idol that initially caught Harris's eye, and according to him, the depiction of the great and grotesque water lizard matched no description of any known Hindu deity. Hoping to find clues to the idol's identity, Harris set about trying to translate the mysterious scripts on the cylinders and the altar. In doing so, he met with significant difficulty, as the text was only barely recognisable as an archaic dialect of a pre-Sanskrit language. The process was slow and painstaking until about a year ago. So I guess Banyu, our Buddhist monk, probably came from this temple and wants to recover their stolen artifacts. It's all coming together. At this time, Professor Harris writes of having a strange and enlightening dream. He reports walking in the ancient world from whence these items originated. A grand city of marble walls and onyx streets, of bronze gates and marvellous palaces and gardens. He writes of visiting the 17 tower temples of this ancient city and meeting the bearded gods who dwelled there, sat upon their ivory thrones. Harris calls the strange place Sarnath, despite the sheer impossibility of this. He claims that among the temples, he learned the secrets of the ancient writing. His next entry goes on to describe the odd clay cylinders as the brick cylinders of Cadatheron, though he hadn't yet identified the other objects. The next few pages have been torn from the journal. The entries resume with more mundane matters, though there's still references to the artifacts from time to time. The more recent entries in the journal speak of Harris's daily studies and living with Amelia. It's clear that he cares about her deeply from the way he writes about her, but he laments that his studies keep him from spending the time with her that he would like. Instead, he lavished her with gifts and money, which she was all too happy to accept. He notes that Amelia has never been happier despite the distance between them. The last entry to catch your eye is dated a little over a week ago. Apparently the pages torn from his journal went missing only recently. Professor Harris expresses deep concern at this, as there were no signs of forced entry to his study, and only he and Amelia had access to it, though he was sure he hadn't removed them from the journal himself. You finish your reading by glossing over the last week of the Professor's life, which is rather uneventful and peaceful beyond his continued obsession with the artifacts and his occasional worries about Amelia. Okay, so Amelia stole some pages from the journal, is conspiring with Joshua to get the stuff, and then killing her husband. Let's just grab everything. So we have the, let's go next to the clay cylinders, because as I mentioned, we'll get the gemstone altar last. You turn the hardened clay cylinders over in your hands, your eyes falling on the large cracks running through both items. Despite this damage, their solid construction has led to the cylinder's survival through the ages. The next most obvious quality is the strange writing that is plastered along the side of each cylinder. It's quite remarkable in that it doesn't resemble any language known to you. Using the notes on the table, you attempt to translate it. Make an archaeology roll. Okay. Nope. You're unable to translate them, go back to 210. It didn't say I put them in my bag. It says you're free to load them up and take them with you. After examining each item, it will be added to your inventory. Okay, let's just note down inventory. And now let's finally look at the gemstone altar. It's entry 230, but I guess it links to the very end of 230. It's actually on the previous page. You examine the extraordinary altar. The most readily apparent features beyond its size are the many gemstones set into its surface. They are of a greenish yellow colour and shine even in the half-light of the room. You also notice strange lettering written in broad strokes along the object's sides. The symbols are smeared and sloppily done, suggesting they were written with some haste. What he had originally taken for paint is, upon closer inspection, dried blood. While he cannot be certain, it would appear that this item has been involved in some tragedy. Using the notes on the table, you maybe attempt to piece together translation. Okay, make an archaeology roll. Nope. Okay, and that's everything, so now I shall leave the house. Banyu pulls a gun and asks for his stuff back. You decide that you've seen enough of Joshua's house and that you have no reason to linger here. You exit the building and close the door behind you. You look out into the fog and find it thicker than you remember. You can see almost nothing. Compounding this problem is the darkness, which has completely fallen while you were inside. Armed with the new knowledge, you feel prepared to confront what lies ahead of you. You take a few steps out into the street and are shocked to find the town's cobblestones waterlogged. The lake's water level is rising and Esbury is beginning to flood. Given earlier events, you suspect this may not be entirely natural. Really? What earlier events? I've not had any weird events so far. I mean, I've been mugged, but I've not encountered anything unnatural yet. You feel a twinge of fear but overcome it and spur yourself into action. You know you must escape the flood and you must act quickly. Yes, I know where to meet with Banyu, so I shall do so. To meet up with Banyu, check the entry number and then go to it. 215. I'm just going to step away for a moment to get a drink as my glass of water is empty. Be right back. These Alone Again streams are a lot of talking. Gotta keep the throat lubricated. I should have some nice soothing yogurt afterwards. Okay. You rush across the street and into the church, all the while splashing through the ever-rising water. You slam the door behind you and make your way down the aisle toward the Buddhist monk standing beside the high altar. As you approach him, you can see that the man looks shaken. His eyes are wide and his hands tremble as he holds onto one of the pews for support. He fixes his gaze upon you and starts speaking quickly in a language you don't understand. He stops himself and then begins speaking frantically. I do not think you would make it back. Are you okay? Did you see what was out there? You mention the rising water and he shakes his head vigorously. No, the creatures in the mist, the green monsters! You raise a skeptical eyebrow and he leads you to the door. He cracks the door open slightly and you gaze out into the mists. You do indeed see something strange, a not entirely human silhouette shambling about in the darkness and the fog. Before you can get a better look, the monk yanks you back into the room and closes the door, but not before the thing notices, as a loud bang begins in the door mere seconds later. You see it now, yes, they come for us. He draws you closer, pulling you in so you can speak in hushed tones, though still in a hurried manner. That is why I came here, friend. My temple wants me to bring the relics back because they are cursed by evil things. My temple will perform rites over the relics to keep the curse away, but they're not safe elsewhere. It may be too late, but I know the words. Come, join me, we will fix this. He takes your hand and drags you to the altar. You set down the sack of things, the monk closes his eyes and begins to speak in a strange tongue. Yahaya nog naguli nog Yahaya nog naglui a bokruk. Yahaya nog naglui a bokruk. Okay. He utters each syllable slowly and carefully, kind of what I did when I was sounding it out, giving you the chance to join him if you so choose. If you have the strange idol, go to 227. I feel like I'm somehow solving the mystery here, or like resolving the situation, having completely bypassed all of the weird happenings other than seeing one strange silhouette out in the fog. You stare at Banyu as he completes his chant, and it is as if a great weight has fallen from his shoulders. You look at him curiously for a moment, before you notice the pounding at the door fades to a stop. Cautiously, you go to the door and crack it open a little so you can look outside. As the door swings open, a rush of water swirls into the church, soaking your legs and the floor around you before pooling amid the church pews. Looking out into the streets, it appears that all of Esbury is awash with waist-deep water, though the fog has faded and the water doesn't appear to be rising any further. Banyu comes to join you and he breathes a sigh of relief. It is done now. We'll be safe for the moment. I will take the artifacts with me when I leave this place. We will prevent this from happening again. With that, Banyu gathers up the sack of items by the altar and wades out into the floodwater. You don't know where he is going, but you never see him again. In time, Esbury is evacuated. The bodies of some residents are found, their deaths labelled as drowning. Some residents claim to have seen strange things in the mists, which the papers label as an outbreak of mass hysteria brought on by the anomalous flooding. Some residents are committed to mental institutions, though many return to Esbury when the water recedes. You're still not entirely sure what went on there, but you are fully aware that it wasn't entirely natural. You do your best to forget it, but the memory still lingers in the back of your mind. You never return to Esbury. You have survived this adventure, and you may save this character to use at a later time if you wish. Your visit to Esbury is over. The end. Okay. We did indeed bypass all of the mythos stuff in this Call of Cthulhu adventure. Well, we saw a silhouette, but that was it. Didn't even have to make a sanity roll. Wow. I'm assuming that sanity rolls do happen in this. Let's just have a look. Yeah, it's got like rules for what happens if you go insane. Making a sanity roll. I can shoot Joshua. Wow. Things could have gone very differently. I can beat Joshua to death. What? How could this adventure get so violent? How did I miss all of this? I can shoot Joshua in another way. I can confront the horrors. Yep, I did miss all of the mythos in this. Let's work our way backwards. Let's see. Like shooting Joshua. Like what leads to that? That's 145. This is Joshua shooting at us. Okay. This is something to do with Amelia. Did I get to any of these prompts? I didn't. Okay, let's just pick one at random. Hey Pixel, welcome in. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly happened in this Call of Cthulhu adventure because I somehow got through it without any mythos stuff happening. Let's see. Okay, I think I see where the situation changes. So, earlier on, we were visiting Amelia, the widow of Professor Harris, who seems to have had something to do with Professor Harris's death, and Officer Powell comes in and says that we're under arrest for trespassing. If I choose to fight him, this then leads to a sequence of events where I can potentially beat up and then tie up Officer Powell, force Amelia to explain everything, and end up killing Joshua as he comes to deal with the situation. So, all because I surrendered to the police. I missed this whole bloody turn of events that could have come about. But there's still the creatures. How do you encounter the creatures? Okay, something to do with the hotel. No, these aren't hyperlinked. Okay, so that kind of fits into the same sequence of events, I think. Yeah, it all seems to come down to whether you resist arrest or not. If you resist arrest, then you end up fighting people, killing people, meeting horrible lizard monsters. I wonder if they just didn't imagine that a player character would surrender to the police in this game, and that's why it was such a short and relatively unexciting sequence of events that happened after that point. But anyway, I guess we've done it. We successfully completed Alone Against the Tide. I guess we'll wrap it up here. Slightly earlier, shorter stream rather. But after 2 hours of reading prompts out loud, my throat is starting to kill me. I need a nice soothing yogurt, as I mentioned. So yeah, I guess we'll just end it here. Let's see who is online. Nobody, really. So yeah, I guess we'll just wrap up stream here. So 2 more streams coming this week. On Friday we'll be playing more Astro Prisma, and we'll actually be playing Astro Prisma because it's not ludicrously hot anymore. It might even rain on Thursday, which I've not seen rain in over 2 months now. That'll be quite nice. And on Saturday I'm going to do some campaign prep for my home game because I am expanding the setting a bit and need to shoehorn in some adventures, and so may as well do that on stream. So we'll end with that. So thanks for watching and see you next time.